The monopolistically competitive market contains firms that have two features. One is that these firms have market power, just like a monopoly in its market. The market power by the firm means that it faces a downward sloping demand curve. When a firm faces this kind of downward sloping demand curve, it can increase its price a little and won't lose its customers to other competitors. That is different from the perfect competition, where each firm in perfect competition faces a horizontal demand curve, and if they try to raise their own price above the market price, they will lose all of their customers. The firms in this market has this kind of market power because either the market is very small and its size can only support a few firms, or the firms in this market have differentiated products, so each of them can get a group of loyal customers. A second feature of monopolistic competition is that this kind of market has free entry. So if firms outside this market see other firms are making positive economic profit, they can enter this market freely to provide their own products into the market. Then, if the firms are offering identical products and all have the same cost structure, in the long run, all the firms in this monopolistically competitive market will only earn zero economic profit. Even though they can still cover all of their opportunity costs and make accounting profits, there won't be any long-run economic profit above their opportunity costs. And that is different from a monopoly market. As long as the demand for a monopoly's product or services is high enough, a monopoly can earn positive economic profit in the long run. In this picture, we first look at a firm in a monopolistically competitive market in the short run. Here, the demand for this firm is pretty high. Because it's a downward sloping demand curve, the marginal revenue curve falls below it and meet the marginal cost curve at this QSR. At this output level, the firm can charge a price that is higher than its own average cost. So in the short run, this firm is earning a positive economic profit. This price, which is determined by this quantity and this demand curve, is above the average cost faced by this firm. Again, if we assume the firms in this market are offering identical products and they all have the same kind of cost structure, this positive economic profit will attract entrants into this market to compete away the customers. Then the demand faced by a single firm in this market will decline, even though it still keeps this downward sloping shape. So in the long run, as the demand declines, so will the marginal revenue curve. The long-run equilibrium for a monopolistically competitive market with identical products and identical firms will appear to have this kind of feature. The firms still maximize their own profit at where the marginal revenue meets the marginal cost, so they produce at this QIRR, the long-run quantity. However, because demand has declined, this quantity only can generate a long-run price that equal to their average cost. So, in fact, we are actually looking at a demand curve that is tangent to the marginal cost curve at this particular QLR quantity, which is determined by the profit maximizing condition, MR equal to MC. We don't have to know how exactly the demand curve fall from this kind of position to this location that make all the profit maximizing quantity and price and the average cost line up to this point. The point is that because we know in the long run from the free entry, the competitive feature of this market, no firm in this market should earn any positive economic profit, the price has to be equal to the average cost. So that's why the long-run picture has to look like this. Every firm is maximizing their own profit following the marginal revenue equal to the marginal cost rule and get a price that just equal to their average cost, since they cannot make a positive economic profit. Figure 11.7 in the textbook only shows us this long-run equilibrium for monopolistic competition. Again, the marginal revenue meets the marginal cost, which give us this output quantity by an individual firm in this market, and in the long run, it has to be the case that this average cost curve is tangent to the demand curve at this profit maximizing quantity, which yield us this price just equal to the average cost, and this firm is making no economic profit. In this figure, we can compare the market outcome between perfect competition and monopolistic competition. In the perfect competition, the market is producing at the minimum of the average cost curve, and at the competitive quantity, the market price equal to the marginal cost. And because the demand curve faced by a single firm is horizontal, this demand curve is also the marginal revenue curve for the firm. So the firm is maximizing its profit and earning no economic profit in the long run in this perfectly competitive market. However, in monopolistic competition, because the demand curve is downward sloping, the marginal revenue fall below the demand curve. The marginal revenue meet the marginal cost curve at a quantity that is lower than this point where the demand curve meets the marginal cost curve. That means this yellow area is dead with us because on the demand curve, there are actually consumers value these products higher than the marginal cost of producing them. Also, if we think about the firm itself, it is not producing at the lowest point of the average cost. So if this firm increases its output, it can actually bring down its average cost. However, that higher quantity is actually not profit maximizing because then the marginal revenue will be lower than the marginal cost as the marginal revenue fall below this demand curve, and the marginal cost is actually above the demand curve at the lowest point of the average cost. If all the firms in this monopolistic competition increase their output, the market demand can be satisfied with fewer firms, each with a larger quantity of output and lower average cost. In that sense, we say the firms in this monopolistic competition, when they're not producing at a quantity that yield the lowest average cost, they have excess capacity. And this excess capacity is inefficient because the production capacity is not utilized and the average cost is not minimized.